Hi, this is Ray Tackett with the Bourbon County Extension Horticulture Service, and here to give you a brief update on the tree and shrub calendar for homeowners for November and December. First up, this is a good time of the year to be applying dormant oil on warm days in early November to control scale insects on magnolias and other trees. It's a good way to take care of problems that's going to pop up later, possibly in the landscape. Good way to take care of those problems right now. Next up is don't prune trees and shrubs in the fall or early winter. It dehardens them or makes them more susceptible to winter injury through the cold months of the year. We saw a lot of this last year with the colder than average winter weather, so we're going to try to avoid that this year by not pruning late in the season. So all pruning should be done at this time. Wait until after blooms fade in the spring to prune spring flowering ornamental shrubs and trees, and wait until March to prune summer blooming plants such as butterfly bush, Rosa Sharon, and others. Now's a good time of year to take cuttings from plants like hollies and junipers all the way up through early November for rooting and growing new plants. This recommendation pertains mostly to tip cuttings. Once you get the tip cuttings taken, just scratch up or scarify or otherwise wound those tip cuttings at their very base. Dip that tip of the plant in rooting hormone and grow in sand or peat mix on the inside. Another thing to consider this year is getting a balled and burlapped live Christmas tree so that you can plant that in the ground later. Some good choices there would be Colorado blue spruce, Norway spruce, or Douglas fir. They're all really good choices, but be sure not to keep those trees on the inside of the house over 7 days, or they won't transplant so well if you hold them on the inside longer than that. Another good thing to do is dig the hole outside in advance before the soil actually freezes. Be sure that shallow-rooted shrubs and evergreens have about 2 to 3 inches of mulch over the root zone to help prevent winter injury from frost heaving and thawing, which will damage those plant roots. Also, soak them good before putting away hoses. It's easy to forget about watering evergreens through the winter, but evergreens continue to lose moisture through their needles, so that's a good practice is to water them if you haven't had precipitation in the form of rain or snow in a while. It's normal for white pines to have all of their older inner needles turn yellow and drop off. Leave these under the tree for a really good mulch. You can leave those under the tree for up to a 3-inch depth, but pull the mulch back from the trunks of all trees about a foot to keep field mice and voles from destroying the bark over the winter. This is especially important for young trees. It seems like voles really like younger trees because they're more tender. Late November after leaf drop is the best time to fertilize most trees and shrubs here in Kentucky. Soil tests now to determine the fertility needs. Remember that roots continue growing and taking up nutrients throughout the winter except when the soil is frozen. That's really the only time that most roots shut down. Around Thanksgiving, put a cylinder of hardware cloth or screen cloth of around a 1/4 inch openings or smaller loosely around the trunks of young smooth bark trees such as maples and crabapples and honey locusts to help prevent sun scald and frost cracks. We've seen a tremendous amount of damage from frost cracks and sun scald here in Bourbon County, so this is actually a pretty important step to take in the winter time here in Bourbon County and central Kentucky as well as other areas of the state. Go ahead and add fallen tree leaves, except for walnut, to your compost pile. Add nitrogen, soil, moisture, and other organic waste, such as fruit and vegetable peelings, then turn the pile occasionally to help it heat up. Just keep in mind that in the wintertime, if you don't have a compost pile of at least a size of 3 feet wide, 3 feet tall, the compost is going to actually break down very slowly because the pile will stay colder, and if the pile stays colder, the bacteria that make a compost pile work, they'll actually work slower. Rabbit repellents containing the active ingredient thiram will discourage rabbits from chewing off young seedlings, vines, bushes, things like that. So it's a good idea to keep that product with the active ingredient thiram put on if you have a concern with rats. It's a good time of year to pick off and destroy bagworm bags. Bagworm bags are these 2-inch long brown sacs hanging from branches on evergreen and other trees. And just think that each female bag contains up to 1,000 eggs, which will hatch in May when the worms will begin devouring the tree. So for each bag that you pull off now, you are getting rid of 1,000 eggs in the spring. It's a lot easier to do it now than wait later. The recommendations in this brief video apply primarily to Central Kentucky, Zone 6, where we're at here in Bourbon County. If you have specific questions, you can always call your local county extension office by pointing your browser to the address below. And remember that no specific product endorsements were intended during the course of this video. And would also like to mention here a thank you to the Boone County Horticulture Extension Agent, Mike Clare, of which a lot of this information in this brief presentation is based on. Thank you.